Reporter named Angela Levin went to interview one of Britain's biggest TV stars.
Jimmy Savile was at the height of his powers then, on the television all the time, running marathons, raising funds. And when I arrived at his flat, he was dressed in one of his silver foil tracksuits. He took my hand, lifted it up to his mouth and licked me from my third finger all the way up to my elbow. It completely threw me. At the end of the interview, the doorbell rang and a severely disabled young man came in, and Jimmy said to me, "Oh, come on, Angela, before you go, would you go into the bedroom and have sex with him? He's dying to have sex. He's never had sex." And I just stood there aghast.
Angela Levin had just glimpsed inside the terrifying world of one of Britain's worst sex offenders. A man we now know abused more than 450 victims. But was Savile simply a pervert or a psychopath?
A psychopath is somebody who lacks conscience, they lack remorse, they lack guilt. They basically just don't have the feelings, the normal feelings that most of us have.
This lack of conscience or emotion can lead psychopaths to commit the most terrible crimes. Some become notorious killers, ruthless gangsters, and serial rapists. However, most psychopaths are not violent criminals, and they're more common than you might imagine.
We think about 1 to 2% of all of society are full-blooded psychopaths. The fascinating thing is that psychopaths are everywhere. They are in business, they are in law, they're in medicine, they're in politics, they're in TV and media.
These psychopaths at large have exactly the same personality disorder as the killers behind bars, but they find a different way of getting their kicks: ruthless ambition.
Psychopaths are obsessed by status and by power. For that reason, they're very highly motivated to get to the top in organizations. And we should be worried about them in those positions, because as they acquire more power, they also acquire more potential to do harm.
Recognizing these dangerous power psychopaths is not easy. But there is a checklist of 20 personality traits shared by psychopaths. Everything from manipulation to shallow emotions, sexual promiscuity, and a sense of extreme self-importance. Top psychiatrist Tony Maiden uses the checklist to diagnose some of Britain's worst criminal psychopaths. But in this program, he'll use it to investigate infamous, powerful figures, from celebrities to world leaders. First up for forensic examination is Jimmy Savile.
I tell lies when it suits me. I've had plenty of close relationships, but like I said, Mr. No Grass here, I've forgotten every single one. Not forgotten them, but I cannot even recall any one of them just now.
Jimmy Savile abused hundreds of victims over 5 decades, aged between 5 and 75. The assaults took place in his flats and caravans, in dressing rooms and at hospitals where he carried out charity work. So was Savile a full-blown psychopath? And could that explain his hideous crimes and how he got away with them? Journalist Miles Goslet helped uncover the truth after Savile's death.
The extraordinary, disturbing thing about Savile is the sheer range of crimes that he's alleged to have committed. It goes from what might be regarded as a fairly trivial assault, squeezing somebody's bottom or something, to rape, and also, even more disturbingly, abusing children who are disabled, and even interfering with dead bodies.
Savile's crimes reveal several traits on the psychopathy checklist. He had no empathy for his victims. His repeat offending suggests he suffered no guilt, and he was also sexually promiscuous. But to be diagnosed as a true psychopath, you need to strongly display nearly all these traits. So psychiatrist Tony Maiden is hunting for further evidence from the archives.
What was your father like?
The old man, he was marvellous.
Were there things about him that remind
In 1991, Savile gave a remarkable radio interview.
He was never a pirate, he was too honest.
What do you mean, a pirate?
Well, I'm a pirate. I mean, he was honest, he was lovely. He had a job, and he went and stuck to it, and he...
Aren't you honest?
No, I'm dishonest in inverted commas, insofar as I'm a ducker and diver.
I think this interview with Savile is an amazing mix of frankness and deceit. You have to remember that the man doing the interview, Anthony Clare, was a superb interviewer, and he really struggles with Savile.
We're much more interested in feelings, emotions.
Yeah, right, emotions, I haven't got any.
What about children?
Yeah, I couldn't eat a whole one.
Do you like...
Could not eat a whole one.
Do you like children?
Hate them.
Really, seriously?
Well, that's why I get on well with them, because I don't like them all that much.
What?
Let me tell you something.
What do you do?
Right.
What is it that really gives you a kick?
Right, you're not in that world, so therefore you don't know. You are constrained by certain things. I'm not in your world. I'm not constrained pretty well by anything. The tough thing in life is ultimate freedom.
This talk of absolute freedom for me is a reflection of the grandiosity that is a feature of psychopathy. And he also comes very close to saying in this section of the interview that really the normal rules don't apply to him. This was somebody who had trouble in finding anything that gave him a kick, as Anthony Clare put it, and ended up exploring some pretty extreme boundaries.
Savile was a thrill-seeking risk-taker who saw himself above the petty rules of society. Together, all these psychopathic traits help explain his shocking crimes. But could other traits on the checklist explain how he got away with it?
Here we go with what's called a medical breakthrough.
Savile was a shining star of charity fundraising. It won him powerful friends, a knighthood, and astonishing access to hospitals with bedrooms at both Broadmoor and Stoke Mandeville. But Jim'll Fix-It producer Roger Ordish had reason to doubt Savile's charitable feelings.
I don't think he genuinely had any great sympathy for the people at Stoke Mandeville, for example. I remember hearing him describe them as my raspberry ripples, my cripples, which I thought I was a bit shocked even then.
That's an extraordinary comment.
Yeah.
There was a huge gap between Savile's public persona and the private reality, and Roger Ordish didn't know the half of it.
It shows the degree to which this man could deceive.
Yes.
That I knew him, worked with him for 21 years and didn't get a hint of the dark deeds that were happening at the time. It's a big shock.
Deceit and deception are part of the definition of psychopathy, and he would rate as high as it's possible to get, it seems to me, on deceit.
There's more. Savile's grand deceit was carried off with a convincing charm. These psychopathic traits were his mask, but for those who glimpsed the monster beneath, Savile unveiled another trait.
I spoke to reporters on the paper, and they all said, yes, rumours have been going around for ages about what he does with paralysed girls at Stoke Mandeville. But any time anyone tries to do anything about it, he bullies you and threatens you with libel. And it's just very difficult to do it. When he is so popular, when he's friends of the royals, friends of the Prime Minister, you're going into very deep, dark water if you try and trip up a man like that.
Savile used his power and influence to manipulate people and keep his crimes secret.
We often think of psychopaths as violent and overtly aggressive people. Savile wasn't like that. He exerted a lot of power through intimidation and through the power that he wielded.
The most commonly used psychopathic checklist contains 20 traits, and psychiatrist Tony Maiden has found evidence of nearly all of them.
Savile has virtually a full house. He was manipulative. He lacked empathy. He was grandiose, sexually promiscuous, Superficially charming, but a pathological liar. He had a shallow emotional expression, shallow affect, a classic psychopath.
The case of Jimmy Savile shows that fame and psychopathy can make a terrifying cocktail. But of course, show business isn't the only career option open to status-hungry psychopaths. There's another world that can be particularly rewarding and even welcoming. Big business. And it's left to the rest of us to count the cost.
I guarantee you will all get a fair and equal chance to play and win one of our millions.